Hey, everybody. It's Mike from Music Ministry 101. I'm actually here in my basement, but I wanted to share with you a very important blog post that I just created, which is really designed to help you have a really smooth and successful Holy Week. As you know, Holy Week can be really difficult for church musicians, and that's not just for choir directors, but also for cantors and even the members of the choir. It can be kind of overwhelming to go through the Holy Week. So this Wednesday of Holy Week, I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts about having a very smooth Holy Week. And I shared these in a blog post you can find on musicministry101.com. Before we get started, I also want to mention that I do an annual sale every year where I just cut prices about 50%. So if you'd like to get one of my training programs for church choir directors or cantors, you can find those at musicministry101.com/products. Okay, let's get into my 7 tips for Holy Week. The first one is become a nerveless leader, not a nervous leader, but a nerveless leader. So I remember this story back when I was a music director. How many churches ago is it? 1, 2, 3 churches ago. And they had a bell choir. I wasn't the conductor of the bell choir, but there was a different conductor. And I remember before the Easter service, the bell choir director was a pile of nerves, like going nuts, worried about everything that could go wrong. And just the way he was moving here and there before the service started, it just put everybody a little bit on edge. And in my experience as a professional musician, when we're on edge, we tend to make mistakes and then more mistakes. And then there's this flywheel downward spiral kind of effect. And so what I needed to do as the director of the whole program was be super calm and try to lower the cortisol and stress and nervousness of everybody. So in that kind of situation, I would be smiling, I would be cracking jokes, I would be having quiet conversations with people and just kind of going about my business without feeding into the energy of that nervousness. So you've got to be that nerveless leader. Even if you're cantering, I would say that people can sense when you are more nervous. And so try to calm down. If it helps, take a deep breath like this. Go in through your mouth. Hold for 3 seconds. And then release. I actually think going in through your nose could be a little bit better for that one. Okay, let's get into number 2. And again, we're doing the tips for a smooth, successful Holy Week. If you have any comments or suggestions or other tips, please put them in the chat. So nextly is mark your scores. So this is just very important and kind of basic, to be honest, but you've got to mark your music in a way that makes a lot of sense to you so that when you're in a more nervous kind of state, the music markings will help you. For example, let's say that you're singing a piece. Do I have a book here? Yeah. Okay, let's just pretend this is my conducting techniques book, but let's just pretend this is a anthem that you're singing. You get to page 6 and you're singing, and it says, go back to page 2, right? Or there's a big repeat, and you've got to go back multiple pages. So to make that easier on yourself, just put to page 2 or back 2 pages in your score so you know exactly where to go. Or you can even put a little paper clip up here, grab the paper clip, and go back the right number of pages. I also will put a picture of eyeglasses when something difficult's coming up. So if in 8 bars or 6 bars, there's a really difficult passage to sing or to conduct, I'll put eyeglasses there that will actually wake me up and say something tricky is coming. So don't just be on autopilot, but actually focus for that. Okay, number 3, planning is essential. So I put planning is king. Obviously, planning is not king, but because we know who the king is. but planning is essential. And so as, let's say, a choir director, you've got to be thinking not only through what you have to do, but also what are all the other moving parts that have to happen, and usually in a certain order. So let's say you are doing a special song right after communion, a communion meditation piece. Are people going to have that ready to go quickly, or are they going to be fiddling with their pages? How can you help them to have a smoother transition? You could tell them to make sure your page is open and under your chair for the next piece. Or you could give them a piece of paper that has all of the music selections for that liturgy laid out right in a row, so they are the most prepared that they could possibly be. But yeah, think through the logistics, not only the music selections, but also like actual logistics. Like when we process from here to here, this is how that should look, those kind of things. Number 4 is to isolate difficult parts. This is a technique for practice. So when you're practicing, you should take extra time with the things that are more difficult for you. If it's a phrase of music, great. If you are playing organ, great. You're going to zoom in to those 2 measures and practice them slowly a few times, and then speed up as you get closer and closer to your performance tempo. By doing this, when you get to that point in the liturgy and you have to play something or conduct something or sing something that's difficult, you will have put in the extra reps, and it becomes more like muscle memory. You can rely on your practice for those more difficult parts. So yes, I absolutely do hone in on more difficult sections as we get closer to these performances. Number 5, perfection is not the goal. So don't put the whole burden of the world on your shoulders by trying to make everything perfect, but rather understand what your role is as a music minister. So when you think about music ministry, sometimes we think about the congregations here, the altars here, and there I am right in front of everybody, and everyone is staring at me. That kind of feeling we put on ourselves when we are doing liturgical music sometimes. But really, the connection point is not from the congregation directly to you. It's supposed to be from the congregation up to God. And you're just the middleman or the middlewoman that is performing so that they can reflect on the words, reflect on the music and the moment, so that they can actually get closer to God. So you're not, you don't have to put that pressure to make everything perfect on you. And also you can rely on God's help to get through the moment, right? So if it's particularly challenging to do that, say a prayer to God that he will help you through that moment, and also that the congregation will connect with God and the pressure can just pass by you. Okay, number 6, Holy Week is a marathon and not a sprint. So with this, basically you want to pace yourself knowing that you have a lot coming up. For most choir directors, they probably have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and multiple things on Sunday. You might also have multiple things on Friday too. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so we have to keep our energy nice and smooth. We don't want to burn a lot of energy right on Holy Thursday, because then we're setting ourselves up poorly for the rest of the Triduum, which is to follow, right? The last couple of days of that. And so you want to be doing all the things that you should be doing, which is like getting as much sleep as you can, having a prayer routine, tuning out when you can take a break, let yourself have that break, go for a walk, and eat healthy. So take care of yourself a little extra more during Holy Week, because after all, it is a marathon. You need the right fuel to get through the week. And number 7, last but not least, is to invest in your skill set. So what this means is whenever I worked with professional performers, right, they're always relying on their skill set, which they've worked on immensely over decades. Oftentimes it's decades, or at least multiple years. And so if they get nervous, for example, they rely on the skills that they've already worked on to get them through the moment. So whether that be sight reading, the music, vocal technique, they're relying on their skills, conducting technique, they're relying on their skills, leadership techniques, all of these areas, we fall back to the level of our skills. Just like a business would fall back to the level of its systems, we fall back to the level of our skills. And so knowing that, you've got to consider increasing your skill set so that over time, you'll be able to handle these more difficult weeks with more ease because you've got more skills to rely on. There's a number of ways, of course, to do that. If you're into vocal technique, you can get a voice teacher. If you can't afford a voice teacher or don't want to, you could get advanced vocal technique, which is my training program. For sight reading, you can study online. You can watch some YouTube videos, probably for free, or you can take a course like my How to Sight Read music course. For choral direction, you can go to a conference. Usually that would be $1,000 or $2,000, or you can check out Choir Essentials training program, where I put the stuff from like actual experience and conferences that I've been to into a good package so that it's much easier to digest. Now, I wouldn't recommend starting these things like right now when you're in Holy Week, because after all, you can't build all the skills up in like one day before Maundy Thursday. But this is something that you could get now while it's significantly discounted, and then work on it in the summer or even in the Easter season so that you're more well prepared in the future. If you'd like to check out any of my resources, and I'm not saying that mine is the only place you can find these resources, but they're certainly excellent. You can go to musicministry101.com/products, and you can see all of my courses there. I'll just put that in the chat too. So musicministry101.com/products. They're all like 50, 60% off right now if you use the coupon code Happy Easter when you go to the checkout. So otherwise, I think those tips are really, really good. If you follow these tips, you'll definitely have a more smooth Holy Week this year. And that's what I wish for you, because I know that if you have a better Holy Week, then it will translate to your congregation, which is just a huge area that you can impact, right? Your music can greatly impact your congregation. It's such a blessing to be in music ministry. It really, really is. And I'd like to do even more of it. So let me know if you have any quick comments or questions in the chat. I'll just hang on for another couple minutes. If you have any questions or comments, you can definitely put those in the chat there. But otherwise, I hope all of you are doing well. And I hope you have a good Holy Week this year. So seeing if anyone has a quick comment or question. I also have one more thing that I've been working on, which I'll be happy to share with you. It's called How to Conduct. What I did with this is I made a live class with live conductors that are studying the art of conducting. This is one of my top passions. It's something that I feel like I figured out how to conduct from basically going to college for too many years. And I'm sharing that in a collegiate level course, which is actually it's now available. So if you're interested in that one, what we do is walk through conducting exercises, a lot of the theory of conducting, how it works, so that you can apply it with your groups. And that one is at howtoconduct.com. Again, it's a newer project, so it's actually also at a 25% discount, which is pretty good. So that one's at howtoconduct.com. Okay, so wishing you a great Holy Week. I don't see any questions popping up, so I'm going to go get some lunch, but I just wish you all the best. I will pray that you have a great Holy Week as well, that you can affect a lot of people through your music ministry. All right, take care.